Alright. La da 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 la da 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 la da 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 la 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 da 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 da. La da 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 da, la da 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 da. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to today's Daily Peak. I am vibing. I woke up like 20 minutes ago, arguably. I'm not like refreshed, but I'm not actually all that tired. I'm doing pretty good overall. I've got Magical Girl's Fate later, so I need to do a little extra writing for that. But ah, I'm doing pretty good overall. Also, the Prospectors Guild folks, there's been a lot of RimWorld being played recently, and I did just send my playtime in RimWorld, which is almost 2,800 hours. Which, in my defense, I play that game like an ant colony. I will fully set things up, and then just kind of like leave it running so I can watch it on a second screen because I find it very entertaining. But like, it's a lot. It's a lot of hours. It's hard to justify. But I usually play in like one time speed. Is my point. This is not all super engaged. Yeah. Bleh. Anyway, um, hey everybody, welcome back to the Daily Peak. I don't remember if I said that or not. Yeah, I had a decent day yesterday. I will admit I am lying to you. I did not have a decent day. Uh, I was dissociated for a vast majority of it, but the bits of the day that I do remember fine, I enjoyed. So that's good. It's only about 4 hours at the end of the day that I remember, but I enjoyed all 4 of those hours. Jesus. Anyway, I am gonna go ahead and take my meds. I will be taking them with a Lost and Found Energy Blue Rush flavored. It's like an entirely random amount of strength that these things have. Because like half the time I will attempt to open an energy drink can, and it will take me a little bit and like some noticeable effort, and other times it's just like fine. Anyway, today's Wednesday. I'm gonna take my meds. If you guys have meds to take, you do that as well.
Lovely. Yeah. I've been going through for the Fate campaign. I've been going through and marking up um the like outline of all of the dungeon master characters. Or at least as they apply to this campaign. They apply differently in other scenarios. But yeah, my pillars document has so many things in it. But yeah, my next thing is just I need to introduce the next dungeon master slash dungeon masters. And I'm actually still brainstorming how to do that, despite it being like 5 hours before session. I'm very good at this. I will admit one of the reasons I am very good at this is because I'm bad at planning, which means that I do a lot of, okay, I will sit back and let the players engage as they wish, and wherever they want to go, I will put something at the end of the path. That is a thing I do. I think, I don't know, some people call it like the quantum ogre or whatever. But like, they say it like it's a bad thing. Like, oh, so no matter what I do, it was gonna have the same outcome, so why even bother playing? And it's like, no, there is an encounter at the end of this that I have kind of planned for, and how you get there determines what kind of advantages or disadvantages you will have in that fight. We're working up to something here. But yeah. Also, yesterday I like casually used a pawn instead of a basketball. Ah! That would have been so cool if it worked again. Wait. Dang it. It hit the pawn, too. There we go. Like, yeah, quantum ogre theory would suck if it was, like, you know, you go down the mountain road or you go down the plains road, and it's like, yeah, it's an ogre both ways, and the encounter is exactly the same. The choice you made up it doesn't change anything. It's like, no, you're facing the same encounter because that's the encounter I have prepped. But you know, you have changed the circumstances under which you are approaching it. It's not like, yeah. Though I will admit to being a little trolly with some of my puzzles, and creating a situation which I have not actually thought of an outcome for, and just kind of letting my players hit their heads against it until they do something interesting. I say until they do something interesting. Until they feel they have done something interesting. Because I will sit there and be like, okay, do they feel like they are understanding some aspect? Like, I'm trying to play off of them, not like, you know, just do bullshit. Doing regular shit. Bullying my players. It's not bullying. It is always a satisfying resolution to the puzzle when they come up with the resolution to the puzzle. They don't know they're doing it, so... But that's fine. That's when I'm doing more fast and loose campaigns, like full-on pantsing. Yeah, that is absolutely how I run it. Because it's either that or, like, I have my encounter deck that I am referencing. Because if I'm trying to make, like, an encounter deck, that means I have tried to make something that is understandable to a third person. So I have almost certainly not put in, let your players fuck around here for a while, until they figure out something that sounds good. Like, if I'm making an encounter deck, I'm not going to write in, and here is the bit where you are going to plan out the boss encounter while you have your players run around in an empty room with 5 colored balls in it. Heart emoji. I'm trying to think of a time I did that for Waterdeep Industria, and I don't actually remember one. Because I had all of the maps, and, like, it was a pre-written adventure that I was adapting. So I didn't actually have to make anything up on the fly. Or I'm lying to you, and I have done that, but I'm not telling you. Who knows? Accept whichever one you think is more interesting. Gonna be big and loud. Gonna be big and loud. But yeah, I've been going through and working on the characters of the Dungeon Masters as they apply to this Fate campaign. And I guess the modern setting more generally, but I will probably tweak them for other shit. But notably, I have made them all weird monocolor eccentrics, and that's just kind of true universally. But, like, I'm very disappointed, because I actually have had, like, images in mind for all of these characters for a hot minute. And Wrath, like, the red one, is, the one character that I didn't really get to talk about in any detail. Because I have individually described, like, the woman in purple and, the fucking orange one, and they got some love in that description, you know? But, like, the way it goes is, like... As I was going through for that first session, Red has this fun description, but he was turned up in a group shot with everyone else, so I'm gonna have to bring him back in, like, soonish, so I can actually get the description out. Because Red is a fucking redneck. And not in the modern derogatory sense, either. In the classical, like, you know, American labor activist way. Because the modern derogatory sense is a classist stereotype invented by, you know, all of the managers that the rednecks were standing up to. to paint them as fucking idiots who were just uppity for no reason. You know, when in reality they were protesting how you were making them die in coal mines. But, like, you know, all the folks at, like, the Blair Mountain Massacre were rednecks. As in, they were, like, real old labor activists. The red bandana was like a symbol of solidarity, you know? It was a literal red bandana you wore around your neck. That's why they were called that. It is not because they have a tendency to be ginger in a way that is implied to be Irish and inbred. Both. That's a wild stereotype that we've come up with, by the way. Yeah, no. The Red Dungeon Master is based off of old labor activists. Specifically in the sense that he is a labor agitator. Cause he's does a lot of stuff with anger. So he's an agitator? Get it? You fucking get it? But yeah, outside of that, it is like full outfit that is like tough leather and denim. It's like red on red, and it's implied that like you can't tell the difference between what is just dyed and what is bloody. Because this guy is like a figure of violent revolt. That is like the attitudes he has inspired in people in the past. And, you know, violence is a tool to an end, ultimately. Like, it's not you know, but like, the character is a villain in this context, but they're morally neutral on a wider scale. They just are rage and violence. Which sounds bad to our modern Western ideals, but it's all a tool. It's tools. Because the Dungeon Masters all represent different, like, bits of an emotional spectrum as well as a color spectrum. So it's like, yeah. None of these are good or bad in the sense of, like, you know, they aren't inherently evil in the same way that being angry is not inherently bad. But the manifestations in which they are appearing is, yeah. You know, the Red Dungeon Master, full-on, like, redneck attire, has a tattered shirt with, like, several visible bullet scars, that is seemingly trying to highlight instead of hide. And it's vaguely implied that he is a vengeful ghost from the Blair Mountain Massacre. That's just kind of, like, thrown in for flavor. He looks like how you would expect an old coal miner to look like, back in their prime. such as from the days of the Blair Mountain Massacre, when a bunch of old coal miners were shot. Sorry, I should explain that for the people who aren't familiar with the Blair Mountain Massacre, also called the Battle of Blair Mountain. It was one of the more notable, like, strikes in West Virginia. Of course, happening at Blair Mountain, where there was a pretty major coal mine. Or at least I believe it was a coal mine. I might have my facts wrong, but the important part is all of these workers were striking, you know, for better pay and conditions and stuff. And the response was for the mine owners to go to the US government and say, hey, can we have some help breaking this strike? To which they sent in the National Guard with a rail-mounted Gatling gun. I am not making this up. That was a legit thing that they did. Hi, Ami. I'm talking about American labor movements and how they relate to our Magical Girls campaign. So yeah, I've got this whole description of, like, the Red Dungeon Master as, like, implied to be a redneck from this era. Who's, like, a vengeful ghost, basically. But, like, I didn't get to do that because he just turned up in a group shot. And, like, I kind of loosely described them all as being wearing monocolor clothing. Without much, like, detail as to that, because I didn't want to take up half an hour describing all of my OCs. This is just, like, the introductory thing for Red is fully just out here, like, you know. I don't know. I'll find a way to bring him back. Next session is today's session, actually. Because it'd be awful and fun. We'll see. Honestly, that's not a bad idea. They're both very physically focused. They are basically, like, brothers spiritually in terms of their depiction. I don't know, I'm going back over their motives in my head, because they are basically just hero collectors. That's their thing. Is, they're trying to find heroes to trap in their, like, cosmic dungeons. Not as, like, victims, but as, fucking mini-bosses, mostly. And it's like, alright, all of these characters are inspired by, like, specific breadths of emotion. And going over, like, the folks in the party, we've made several characters who several of the Dungeon Masters would be interested in collecting. Yeah, that does make sense. I'll think about it. We'll see how things turn out. Like, full disclosure, I haven't written today's session yet, so you are giving me ideas. It's one of those things. One of those things. You can influence the future. Exactly. No, I'm a bit of a pantser when it comes to GMing style, which is why I will generally rely on pre-written adventures. No, it's implied that that's a threat. You don't need to point it out. That's just true. Me and Ami both know this. Ami is a writer. They know that you're giving me ideas is just as much a threat as a compliment. I was talking to, like, Maru in DMs the other day, and I said, I'm a machine that turns character trauma into IRL trauma. So... we all know. They reacted to that with a thumbs up. I do like the idea of, you are a writer. That's the thing. It doesn't matter if you consider yourself a writer all that much. You do a lot of writing. You are a writer. Doesn't matter if you consider it good or not. It is writing. You do it a lot. It has developed your skills as a creative. You have turned into a brilliant creative, Ami. You've devoted a lot of time to the practice of telling stories, and it shows. I don't give a shit, Ami. You're good at this. Fucking what if I have imposter syndrome? Fuck you. Can I actually reach that rope? I can! What do you mean? I've watched some of your live streamed stuff. Mommy, do you know how much thought you put into those characters? You've told me about them. Directly. I've watched VODs. Kara asked me for help editing some stuff that you appeared in. Just because I didn't say that I was watching every time doesn't mean that I wasn't watching. I'm like Jesus Christ in that respect. It's a batshit comparison to make. Hold on. No, you are a good writer. I have watched you perform the stuff you have written. It's good. I guess you're allowed to not believe me, but like, that's the actual opinion that I hold. Oh no. Okay, I thought I was stuck there for a second. What's a yellow shrimpberry do today? Slow fall. Nice. Oh wait, I forgot that slow fall does make you resistant to the effects of the wind. But you do have to know that I think you're good at a lot of things. Like, you're allowed to not believe me, but I do still hold the opinion that you are an expert in a few regards, especially creative ones, and I respect your skill in them. Because that is also a true fact. I guess, but that would be mean. Ami calling me delusional on my own live stream. Okay, I am inside of a log. I should not be wind affected. I have walls on all sides. Fuck you too. Heart emoji. Wait. Yeah. The wind sees no tree. Well, fuck the wind. Someone get Zephyr in here. The mattress bag I'm using isn't exactly good for receiving under the desk support, but I'm willing to try. What? That was more damage than I wanted to take there. Okay, well, Ami has introduced a secondary idea that I'm worried might be better than the original idea I had for introducing yellow, which is bringing back red and orange together in conflict with each other to illustrate that kind of dynamic aspect of these characters who are nominally in the same group but also don't like each other very much. Because they do have a fun dynamic, and introducing them in the same scene would be a good way to illustrate it. Especially given that last session had the purple, like, trying to appeal to orange. It's like, no, we need to do it in color order, come on! I love you. No, yeah, fuck you too. Let's see what red does. Red does fast. Okay. I don't really have a good way to recover from this. Yeah, no, I don't think I am recovering from this. Damn it. It was seconds away from, rotting, too. Alright, well, it's more time to prep today's session, at least. Yeah, no, corpse snuggles. Pirate's correct. That is what's happening here. Alright. Well, thanks to everybody who tuned in for today's Daily Peek. I really appreciate your viewership, and I will see all of you guys next time. I'm gonna go make maps. That's where I'm at today. I'm gonna make maps. Fuck you.